right? You do that to me, man. You put that pressure on you, man. You try to deflect them courses, like, man, what's going on, bro?
Good Monday morning. Welcome to Get Up. I'm Brian Custer in for Greeny. Look at what a crew we got. I got Big Perk in studio with me. I got the Mad Backer himself, Bart Scott as well. Take a look at who else got up with us as well. We got Seth Greenberg, Bobby Marks, Tim Hasselbeck have gotten up. And guys, we got to start though in the NBA. It was fight night in Minnesota. Ant-Man, T-Wolves take it on the. So Isaiah Stewart gets called for the technical. This is where it starts. Yeah, Rudy Gobert. Yeah, a little something. The headlock.
Rudy no better.
Enough. Whenever we've won titles, it's been we don't take a back step to nobody. You ain't about that life. We know Rudy ain't about that life. The last Detroit dude he ran up to put him in a headlock. Gave him a nuggy noogie.
Well, Ant-Man said the fight got them energized, and he came out balling here in the third. He pulls up, knocks down this three. He had Julius Randle scoring there. Edwards at 25 points. Randle 26. Let's take a listen after the game.
It was bound to happen. It just felt like it was coming. And, you know, you just been in enough basketball games to kind of feel this coming. It's unfortunate. You know, they hit you, they hold you, all the stuff that, you know, you want your physical teams to do.
Brett, obviously, where all of it took place, that's not something you ever want to see happen. But, again, I thought our guys –
Coach Bickerstaff was one of the guys who got ejected here. You said you liked this, and this has been coming on for Detroit. Coach Bickerstaff said, hey, my team is going to play physical. And they've kind of tried to take on this bad boy image as of late. But your reaction to what you saw last night?
They're a culture. And I appreciate Bickerstaff after the game is basically saying, yeah, this is who we are. And by the way, they're the most surprising team this NBA season. Nobody thought they was dead bird tall grass last year. All of a sudden, you're watching this team not only win games, but we're watching this team also develop a culture for the long haul with a rising young superstar leading the charge in Cade Cunningham, who, by the way, didn't play last night. But, again, I love the direction this Detroit Pistons team is going in.
Bobby, what is your take from it? Because I think you want guys to care. And obviously you see that, but you certainly don't want something like this spilling out into the crowd.
Well, certainly not into the crowd, and I think the league is certainly going to take a hard look at this, certainly when Isaiah Stewart is involved again, right? He is the
hosting the Rockets. KD, Rockets, and let's pick this one up in a second. Durant driving, fouled there by Dylan Brooks. They exchanged some words, assessed technicals. Brooks had even more to say. He gets ejected, and it was the Suns leading at the half. But let's get to the third here, Perk. Durant drives, go down, turned that ankle bad. Couldn't hardly put weight on it. Had to be helped to the locker room. Would not return.
And I hated BC. Individually, Kevin Durant has been balling. Individually. Not the Suns, but KD.
Well, here we go. Rockets up by 35 at this one point. And they, look, Green had 33. Rockets win 148 to 109. You take a look at here. Houston maintains a 2-game lead over the Nuggets for that 2 seed. Well, they're trying to claw their way into one of those top 6 seeds. They're outside the playoffs. You want to talk about that is the Suns. They are 1.5 games behind the Kings for the last play-in spot. I guess the question here, Big Perk, you look at KD, they already said he's not going to travel on their 3-game road trip at all. We only got like 6 games left. Should they just, is he done for the rest of the season?
Yeah, this season is a wash. They might as well shut Kevin Durant down. Outside of, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Suns are the biggest disappointment, second biggest disappointment in the NBA, and there's no reason to bring KD back. You could just tell, man, the energy is off, the spirit is off. They're so inconsistent, and this is the prime example of the team that plays individual basketball, right? This is not a team, and I've been screaming and harping, about this for as no leadership, right? This team hasn't had a leader since Chris Paul. We thought Devin Booker was going to be able to take that leap from coming back from the Olympics. He talked about he wanted to be a better leader. We didn't see it out of him. Obviously, KD don't want to embrace the role of being a leader. So, if I'm the Phoenix Suns, yes, I sit Kevin Durant down for the remainder of the season, especially the way that the Dallas Mavericks have been playing of late since Anthony Davis has come back. I don't think they even have a shot to get in the play-in.
Wow. Bobby, are they done, you think?
At 11 o'clock last night on March 30th, the Phoenix Suns season officially ended. And it didn't end with the Kevin Durant sprained ankle. It ended when they basically laid down to a Houston team last night and basically had no fight. And I'll say this, Perk said they're the second biggest disappointment. They're the biggest disappointment this season. They're at least were healthy this year. Philadelphia wasn't here. And they have nothing to show for the Kevin Durant trade except for 2 playoff wins. That's it. And they're going to be sitting home in about 2 weeks from now.
Interesting. We're going to talk a whole lot more about the NBA here in the show. But we got to transition to the college game. Oh, some great games when you talk about the Elite Eight. And let's start with Michigan State and Auburn. Janai Broome had 17 points, 11 boards in the first half. Just dominating here. Parents loving it. They should be. Auburn was up 11. And then leading by 10, Broome. Keep an eye on him. See that? The leg, the elbow, injures it. Went right to the locker room after that. Had an x-ray. But you know what? Call it his Willis Reed moment. He comes right back out here a few minutes later, and look what he does. Catches it and knocks down the 3. Broome had 25 points, 14 boards. Auburn wins 70-64. They're headed to the Final Four. Okay, so we bring in Seth Greenberg. And Seth, I guess as a coach, when you see the sequence you saw last night, Janai Broome, who's having this great game, injures the elbow, leaves, then comes back, knocks down the 3. Tell me what goes through your mind.
There's a couple things. Before he left after that injury, he grabbed Cheney Johnson and said, let's go, you got this. And he empowered him, which was huge. But then when he came back on the court, look, I was at Madison Square Garden when Willis Reed came out of that tunnel. I was at Madison Square Garden when he got to the left elbow and knocked down that jumper. When he came back and knocked down that 3, it was game over. He's been as dominating as any player in the NCAA tournament. And all of a sudden, this Auburn team, they got their edge back. And it starts with Broome, but really begins with Chad Baker-Mazara, the guy that stirs the drink. But Broome, he is a brutal matchup. You see the injury right there. He rolls the ankle. He comes back, goes all Willis Reed. But this Auburn team, they were number 1 in the country for a good portion of the season. All of a sudden, they got their edge back.
Yeah, you're right. They're showing why they're the top seed in the tournament. Let's shift gears here to next weekend's Final Four. Give me your first impressions of the national semifinal between Florida and Auburn. We know they played earlier this season, and it was Florida who beat them at their own place earlier this season. Give me your first impression of this game, the rematch.
It's the teacher, Bruce Pearl, against the pupil, former assistant coach Todd Golden to Bruce Pearl. It was a game where they went into Auburn, Florida, and kicked the crap out of Auburn. Absolutely. Auburn could not get a stop. But this Auburn team's a little bit different. Look, Florida's kind of been living on the edge. I mean, if Walter Clayton doesn't happen in the Connecticut game, if Walter Clayton doesn't happen, obviously the other day against Texas Tech, Florida's not there. Where I think that Auburn is starting to gain a little momentum. They're getting back to their identity. This Florida team is dynamic offensively, got great versatility. But to me, Auburn is playing their best basketball that they've played in the last month. Auburn is going to be tricky to get out.
All right, let's get your impressions here of what we saw out of this other Elite Eight game. It was Houston and Tennessee. Picking up 5 minutes relieving in the first half. Terrence Arsenault. Look at the step back. Knocks that down. Houston was up 19. Tennessee just could not hit a shot at all in the first half of this game. Look, they were trying to come back. Finally, Emmanuel Sharp would knock down the 3. Houston was up 13 at this point, and then less than a minute later, another 3. Hey, look, Sharp had 16. Sampson's loving it. Cougars were up by 14, and then they just rolled. L.J. Cryer, 3 more. Cryer has 17. Houston advances to the Final Four for the 7th time. So give me your first impressions of what you saw, especially out of Houston.
Houston, you can't simulate how hard they play, how physical they are, how tough they are, how relentless they are in terms of getting to the glass in preparation for this team. They build a wall around that three-point line, and you cannot get inside that wall. They force contested shots. They limit you to one shot. On the other end, they got 3 guys shooting over 40% from the three-point line. That's the difference. Sharp made 3 threes in a row. So if you look at this Houston team, the toughness, the physicality, the relentless nature, you can't simulate in your preparation. And where they've improved is their ability to shoot the 3. Those 3 guys open up the court. Sharp made 3 in a row, but it could be Cryer. I mean, to me, they're just so hard to match up with. And Miles Uzon has been absolutely terrific. So I love this Houston team, the toughness and the physicality.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good game with them taking on Duke, who, by the way, they played last year in the tournament.